Peace. Peace and blessings. I pray that everyone is well. I pray that everyone is maintaining strength, maintaining sanity, holding your heads up, keeping yourself focused on your goals, your aims, your dreams, and striving hard to make them come to fruition, make them a reality. And I hope you can hear me. It's kind of windy out here. I'm on the roof at my job, and I get here usually before the sun comes up. But sometimes I come up here and I walk around, right? And I'm blessed to be with, this sight. I'm blessed to be able to see this. And I'm reflecting. A lot of time I'm reflecting outside of looking at AC units and making sure that none of the lines are frozen and there's no hiccups in the machines. I'll walk and I'll reflect. And this morning what I'm reflecting on is walking that 5x9 sail. Walking that 5x9 sail. I have a poem in my book called Hamster Wheel. And for those of us that, like animals or, know hamsters and gerbils, they give them a little wheel that spins in circles when they're running on it. They don't go anywhere, they're running, but this is their exercise. But it also fools them into thinking that they're actually going somewhere. They're on that wheel and they're like, as long as I keep moving, I'm moving towards my destination. They're not. They're just moving in circles. And what they are getting is a little exercise, but they're not getting the adventure. They're not getting the life, right? So, my poem, I don't have my book on hand with me, but my poem, Hamster Wheel, it's a repetitive. It's count time, child call, rec call, child time, count time, rec call, child time, count time, rec call, right? Activity child. That's what you hear all day in prison. And throughout the day you'll hear, names. Johnson, report to the booth. Johnson, go to medical. Stevenson, go to property. Such and such. Watch office, chaplain's office. You hear this all day. And you're sitting there and you're wondering, like, is this gonna end? Because it's so repetitive. And like I said, I heard it for 25 years straight, 25 years. And I'm blessed to be able to see this. And I'm not trying to take it for granted. I'm really not. I sit back and I write, brothers, man. And I sit back and I think about a lot of tales and I tell you all a lot of stories, all true, and it's crazy that, you all feel what I'm saying. And I mean crazy in a good way, and I appreciate it. I remember there was a story, and I wasn't in the pod for those that may hear this story and be like, why didn't you do anything? Okay. One morning, we got up for breakfast about 5. They usually blow the whistle. Stand by for child, which is this is breakfast call. So it's like, I guess about 4:45 in the morning. So we waiting. About an hour late, about 5:30, they say, return to your cells, emergency count. So when they do that, man, everybody moves slow. You know what I mean? The police get on the window. It's a booth with a window in it. And you'll sit on TV and they'll bang on the window, get in your cells. Because guys are like, man, here we go again. Because we know it's going to be a bad day. It's going to be a bad day. So what had happened was this guy, he was on medicine, and I only said it because I know the guy, but I didn't know him well. I just know who it was. A little short guy, man. He was on medicine. And this doesn't, justify what he did. But there was an officer at Nottoway, man, and she was a good officer, man. When I say good, I mean she didn't bother nobody. She did her job. She didn't bring nothing in, no drugs or nothing. She didn't give you nothing. She wasn't sleeping with no inmates or whatever. But she was kind and polite. She spoke to us with respect. If you ask her, excuse me, such and such, can you get me to the watch office, man? I'm trying to go over there and speak to the lieutenant or something. And if she heard the story and it sounded, like it was serious, she'll be like, okay, hold on. She'll get on the walk talk. Cause some people, police just brush you off. All all right, go to your pod, ask the booths officer, no, I can't do it, or I'm busy. And she would always exhibit that courtesy. She was real nice. And every now and again I would hear when we was in the child line, guys would talk to, like one or two guys I think knew her from the street that were inmates because of the area she grew up in, and they would talk about reggae music. Right now you walk past, I ain't never, engage in their conversation with her, but she was just cool. Everybody respected her. And so when we, reluctantly went back to our cells, it took us about, 20 minutes, and you hear all types of threats. If y'all don't go to y'all cells, y'all gonna stay on lock. I'm gonna charge whoever's out in the cell in the next 2 minutes. Get in your cells. So guys, head down, cussing, whatever, shut the F up. There's breakfast call. So guys move real slow back to their cells, but eventually we go. And, we stayed on lock that morning. They brought breakfast trays around, so that was around like 9 o'clock. Because now once they shut the prison down, they have to actually get the guys that work in the kitchen to make trays, not slide them out the slide. They have to make trays that are actually wrapped, styrofoam trays or these little tin trays. So now they got to redo the kitchen. Everybody's out of there. They got to bring these big bins out, these push carts. Now guys got to put trays together. Boom, boom, boom. So that takes a long time. So we get fed, and we come out. We do come out at 12 o'clock. And this is the word that came back. Upper B, which is a pod, a building. B building is a building in Nottoway, but Upper B, the guy I was talking about, short guy, walked up to the CO, that's cool, and just hit her with everything he had. No reason. Guys were up in the pod. Everyone spoke about it. No reason. Just hit the sister, man. And when he hit her, he didn't stop. She fell, and her walkie-talkie slid, and he beat her real bad, man. And she was in the hospital for like 3 months, and no one broke it up. I don't know why, because like I say, on the surface, everybody respected the sister. But like I say, going back to the, some of my first videos, there are rules in prison. There are rules in prison. And some of you all don't like to hear this. And, I understand it from a mature perspective, but there are rules, and some of the rules say, if it doesn't involve, you don't get involved with it. If the police, and this is the terminology, if the police are getting beat up, man, you better not get involved in it. Because what happens is someone will think you're a CO, or you're helping the CO. So now your time is in jeopardy, because now guys are either going to fight you or come at you. Every chance they get, they're going to rob your cell. They're going to take everything you own, because the term is, you police. Oh man, dude hot, man, he police. So guy just stood around, and they let the sister get beat up real bad. And it hurt a lot of people, man. The inmate. That's why I say it's not always bad guys in there. There's a lot of good men and women in prison, man. Please believe that. And it was actually a inmate, man, that grabbed the walkie-talkie and called. And I don't remember the code. I know when there's a fight, it's a 1033. But when the officer's getting into it, it's another code. And the guy actually knew the code. He called, and every officer ran, over there. And they tackled the guy. They beat him up, several times. Once in the pod, they beat him up, put their knees in his back. Guys were hitting him because, like I say, the officer was respected and liked by a lot of people. So he got it, and then he go to the hole. Of course, he got it. And she never came back. She never came back to prison. She never worked there again. She never worked at another prison. I don't know exactly what job she got, but a lot of us would ask certain officers, man, how's such and such doing? And they were like, man, she's still recovering, man. That tore her heart out the frame, like, because she didn't bother nobody. And I'm sure she was wondering, like, why me? Out of everybody, why some of these nasty officers, some of these officers don't respect y'all, why me? And so, the guy never came back on the compound. Once they, locked him up, he caught a street charge, as they say. He goes to a court in the area, and they gave him a street charge. I know they gave him more time. But, situations like that began to happen more and more frequently because there's so much tension in prison. And there are those who, when we come home, myself included, there's so much tension in prison that I spoke about PTSD. And what happens is, when we come home, we were around frustration and stress for so long that we don't like to deal with it out here. We don't like to deal with it. So you have usually people who when an argument ensues, they flare, because in prison, that's what you do. You flare on the street. You flare because that's how you back a person down, in hopes of not just intimidating, but in hopes of, man, listen, get away from me, leave this alone. Because you know what you're capable of. Sometimes a person, doesn't know what you're capable of, but you know what you're capable of. Even if you're a scared person or you don't want to get to nothing, you know how far you're willing to go. And so a lot of us come home and we get into little arguments and we retreat into ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We retreat into ourselves. And men and women who've done time can attest to this. And we do it because we dealt with situations where we had to deal with it. We were in sales with cellies. I've argued with cellies that, man, I'm like, look, you got to get out of here tomorrow. You got to get out of here. You know what I'm saying? You a pervert type dude, man. You know what I'm saying? You on the door, staring at the woman in the booth all night. You know what I mean? Nah, you're not going to pull out your penis and play with your penis in no slot that I got to pull trays from, when it's time to eat. You're not going to do that while I'm in the cell anyhow. That's anybody that knows me that did time, you're not going to do no stuff like that. If you want to go in the shower, man, and play with yourself, that's on you. But if you, man, in the cell with a man, nah, you're not going to do no stuff like that. So I've actually, ran, roommates out who had them type of, dispositions, so I wasn't, I was a respectable individual. I respected people and I got respect, man. But you have people, man, that argue with their cellies, they fight with their cellies, man, and there be some treacherous situations, man. Cellies have killed each other, because the officers refuse to move them. You telling the officer, look, get me out the cell with this guy. I can't get along with this guy. You know what I mean? So, things happen. They either get beat up, they get in fights, they get stabbed, or ultimately, death, depending upon, not a whole lot, but there's been plenty, of death as a result of cellies not getting along. And officers don't take it seriously. So a lot of us who come home, we've seen so many situations that it's hard for us to continue to engage in arguments and beefs and disagreements, because those out here didn't really always resort to extreme. They didn't always resort to the gun, the hands. They argue, and it's okay. So you have those that want to talk coming home, but they don't know how to talk when it's loud or when there's, certain words being thrown back and forth at you. So we either flare up, hoping to back a situation down through intimidation or through, sheer, force of will, or we retreat. And this is the military, people who've been in the military, men and women go through the same thing. They've seen combat, and they go over there and they see their friends getting killed. They see people that they went through training with running down, running down bike trails and military, training facilities, and they eating at the mess hall together, and they laugh together, they missing family together. Man, I ain't getting no letters. You got some letters? Man, you call your people. Nah, man, we jumping out that helicopter today, man. We jumping out. Nah, I can't do it. You gonna do it? And we do it as a team. And in prison, different people, those of us who are in with criminals and those who are in the military, aren't, but the camaraderie that is forged is similar. And so when you see people that you deal with getting beat up, you see people that you deal with coming home and going back to prison. You know how many guys I know, man, where that recidivism rate is real. When they talk about that recidivism rate being extreme in a lot of areas, it is, man. I know guys that did 12 years, came home, stayed home for 4 months. And one guy, man, from DC went back with 88 years. 88 years, man, and he got out, he was 28. I know guys, there was a guy named Teddy Bear Green, Nottaway. He took pictures, man, and he did 30 some years. This man came home, stayed home for 6 months, and he died. He had cancer. I know guys that came home and they died from diabetes. Some guys died, from, drugs. My cousin, man, he did 22 years. We stayed in touch, came home. I still have his text on my phone, his last text on my phone, right? And they found him dead in the parking lot, going to work. Drugs, man. You know what I mean? So I'm only saying all this to say, for those who are watching, who are on the inside, man, don't take for granted this. It's all right not to go to a club just to impress people. It's all right. You don't have to wake up and work hard or hustle hard just to get fashion to impress somebody. Nah, you don't. You really don't. Your mama, your daddy, your grandparents, your family, your friends, real friends don't care, man, the name of clothes you wearing, man. They don't care the type of car you drive. Stop trying to impress people, Earn money, man, that you may help people. Earn money that you can help your mom, that you can help your children. Earn money that you can help your siblings, man. Help each other, help yourself. but don't take for granted good people, and don't take for granted freedom. And if you happen to be incarcerated, man, don't take for granted life. Grow. Push yourself to grow, because there are guys, man, sitting in positions, there are women sitting in positions right now that even though we aren't where we want to be, they would give anything to be where we are, anything to be walking, anything to be smelling, to be drinking, anything you want to drink, tasting whatever you want to taste. In prison, man, you eating ramen noodles all day. You eating slop all day. You eating stuff out the kitchen, man. They got a thing called yakisobe. You know what I mean? And it's like these noodles mixed with this ground beef, but they had a thing that they used to add to ground beef. It was called stretcher, and it was big. It was bloody. It was bloody. And when you looked on the ingredients, it said protein, soy, ground beef, and it had it had so many other things in it. And they would take the stretcher and they would put one little block of ground beef in this big, big pot, and then they will put a whole big thing of stretcher, right? And it smelled bad, it didn't taste good, and they would mix, and they would call it yakisobe, and they would give you a spoon, a small spoon of rice, and they would give you an apple that is probably like this big, little small apple, picked off of somebody's farm, because that's the cheapest contract they can get, right? More food than people got, like I just said, grateful for having it. More food than a lot of people have, man, but man, garbage, you know what I mean? So, I'm out here and I try not to take it for granted that I'm out here. I try not to, wallow in frustration, wallow in anger too much, pain too much, and I do, I'm human like everybody else, and I go through situations like everybody else, and I'm always digging deep as best I can, and some days are better than others, but I know this. I learned a lot. And when I can have a moment to myself, when I can have a moment to take it all in, I'm gonna do that, man. And people have to understand that you have a right to take your moments. You have a right to take your moments. And if you can't take them, you make them. I don't care where you are. If you sitting in your car, man, turn your song on, turn your phone off, man, and enjoy. If it just means walking to the store, then walk to the store. If it means, man, just shutting everything and shutting everybody off for a day or two, a week or two, man, do that. Preserve your sanity. Preserve your peace, and find value in simplicity. Because what happens is when we look at the grand, we looking for the name brand, we looking for the cars with the big names, we looking for, so much that's out there, and that's cool to have that. Don't get me wrong, it's cool to have, Audis and Jaguars and all that. Hey, get it. What I'm saying is, if you're pursuing those things with the thought that when I get it, I'm better than, it just means you work harder. You work hard. You got a smart mind, a great credit, but, perspective is everything. So, I won't ramble on, but I thank you all again for listening, for staying with me, for walking this journey with me, and I appreciate you. Like I say, I'm on Facebook. If you don't believe me, and if you have social media, get on Facebook. You see me walking and working with the kids. We working on something right now, man, a field day, man, for the kids. In this particular neighborhood, we are volunteering. I'm on Instagram as well, and so, I'm gonna continue to work. I'm gonna continue to do what I love doing, and, I appreciate you all. So continue to do the same. Find out what you love doing and do it, and, get fulfillment from that. Stay safe, stay wise out here, and appreciate each other. And again, thank you.